My wife's memorial service was scheduled for 11 that morning. I had my suit on, necktie perfectly aligned, shoes shining, positioned at our front entrance clutching her picture for the ceremony when my cell phone vibrated. A text arrived from a number I didn't recognize. Skip the funeral for your wife. Head over to your brother's place instead. He has company. I kept staring at the screen for what felt like ages. My name is Thomas Grant. I'm 44. A structural engineer based in Denver, Colorado. Laura had left this world 9 days earlier. It happened on a rainy Tuesday night. Slippery highway bridge. That call coming through at 9:47 p.m., splitting my existence into two distinct eras. Everything prior and everything since. 9 days filled with planning details, sympathetic words, and dishes of food dropped off by kind neighbors unsure how else to offer comfort. 9 days of my brother Daniel arriving each dawn unprompted, brewing fresh coffee, fielding incoming calls, quietly sitting next to me during those stretches when words failed me entirely. Daniel, my younger sibling, the individual I relied on more than anyone else once Laura was gone. I replied quickly, "Who sent this?" Nothing came back. I remained frozen in the doorway for a solid minute. My vehicle idled outside. The graveyard waited across the city. A minister, roughly 50 individuals who cared deeply for my wife, assembled to bid her farewell. And somewhere else in town, my brother's residence. Logic screamed to dismiss it. A heartless joke. Bereavement turns people into easy marks. Don't allow some faceless stranger ruin the final chance to honor your wife properly. Yet a subtle instinct refused to let me step toward the car. An instinct that sensed, without clear reason, that the warning carried unusual precision. I tucked Laura's picture into my inner jacket pocket. Then I headed toward my brother's home. Daniel's place sat just 12 minutes away. I could navigate every bend blindly, having traveled it countless times. Family meals on Sundays. Game day gatherings. The evening his little girl arrived, when I'd raced through red lights to reach the hospital. Known roads. Familiar area. The pale blue residence at the turn with the basketball rim he put up years back and barely touched. Everything appeared ordinary as I approached. His vehicle parked in the drive. Blinds closed, though he usually kept them that way early in the day. No unfamiliar cars nearby. Nothing suggested trouble. I nearly reversed course. Nearly persuaded myself the text matched what reason insisted. A vicious, anonymous stunt aimed at a man shattered by loss on the hardest day imaginable. Then I spotted Laura's sedan, tucked along the side road next to Daniel's property, partially concealed behind a neighbor's large vehicle. The white Honda I'd ferried to the repair shop for ages, the one bearing that unrepaired fracture in the left rear light cover. The identical vehicle that had plunged from the bridge 9 days prior. The identical vehicle now held in a police storage yard on the far side of town. I'd gotten the release forms only the day before. I eased to the curb, remained motionless, gazed at that Honda for half a minute, double-checking I wasn't hallucinating. That sorrow hadn't finally shattered my perception, verifying each feature methodically. White color, Honda model, damaged taillight, Laura's campus decal still visible on the back glass. Exact match, every detail. My fingers trembled as I retrieved my house key and approached Daniel's entrance. The key turned smoothly. I paused on the threshold for 3 long seconds, palm on the handle. Laura's photo pressed to my chest, funeral attire immaculate, shoes gleaming for a parting I hadn't completed, and I pushed inward. The interior felt hushed. Not vacant hushed. Inhabited hushed. The precise calm of individuals who've frozen upon detecting an arrival. I entered. Front room, ordinary. Kitchen area, pair of mugs resting on the surface. Both partially drunk. Both fresh. A lady's jacket slung across a chair back, not one belonging to Daniel's former spouse, since she'd relocated to Seattle years earlier, and I recognized every garment she possessed. I recognized this jacket. I'd purchased it. Holiday gift 2 winters past. Deep emerald wool, distinctive metal fastenings, a tiny mend near the left sleeve from a door incident. Laura's jacket. My departed wife's jacket draped over my brother's kitchen seat. I stayed silent. Didn't advance. Merely lingered in that kitchen, palm against the jacket material, still holding warmth from recent use, and allowed my breaths to even out into something steady. It required time. Sounds of movement above. Single set. Cautious. Someone alerted by the entrance and now weighing options. Then Daniel's tone drifted from the upper landing. Soft, restrained, attempting normalcy and missing by miles. Tom, why are you shouldn't you be at the... He emerged at the stairhead. Slightly behind, shadowed partially, dressed in items I'd last noticed stacked in our closet. Laura gazed down at me, breathing. The mind performs an odd trick during utter disbelief. It refrains from shrieking, doesn't buckle, simply halts, comparable to machinery encountering an invalid instruction. I remained below, eyes locked on my wife, my lost wife, and registered emptiness for roughly 4 seconds. Then the flood arrived all at once. Tom, Daniel advanced, palm up, tone deliberately even. Just, allow me to clarify first before you, Laura. My tone emerged utterly level. She recoiled, truly recoiled, as though hearing her name from my lips caught her unprepared. She appeared altered, locks trimmed shorter, shade deeper, attire unfamiliar, the distinct look of someone transitioning identities. How? That single word escaped me. How? Daniel kept speaking. Phrases emerged in structured patterns, yet none registered because my focus stayed on Laura, observing my wife descend 3 risers and pause. Maintaining space. Assessing separation. The manner one gauges distance from an unstable element. She feared me. My deceased wife feared me. The crash, I eventually forced out. Never a crash, Daniel murmured. The space wavered. We orchestrated it, Laura stated. Her initial utterance. Tone tinier than I'd ever known. Tom, forgive me. I realize those words carry no weight at present, yet. You orchestrated your own passing. She dipped her head. And the gathering today. My voice dropped to something perilously soft. 50 mourners await at your service right now. Your own mother sits among them. An expression crossed her features. Not precisely remorse. Something deeper, somehow harsher. I understand, she breathed. I collapsed into a seat. Not theatrical. My knees simply chose independently, landing me in Daniel's kitchen chair, Laura's jacket still warm under my grasp, fixated on those 2 mugs while my wife and brother hovered in the threshold. Anticipating my next action. Begin explaining, I commanded. All of it. Daniel settled opposite. Laura remained upright. Close to the doorway I observed. Close to escape. Still measuring. The account lasted 40 minutes. The condensed edition, the one my mind could handle in that kitchen that morning, amounted to this. Laura had diverted funds from the design company employing her. Minor sums at first. Gradually escalating. Masking client ledger gaps, rerouting payments. The sort of fiscal tampering that begins temporarily and solidifies irreversibly before realization hits. Roughly 18 months. Around $340,000 altogether. The partners uncovered it 3 weeks prior to the incident. A detailed examination. Discreet. Exhaustive. They presented 2 paths. Face prosecution or repay entirely without delay. She lacked both funds and time frame. Thus she crafted an alternative route. Vanish. Daniel learned, I stated. No query. I discovered 2 weeks back, he admitted. She approached me. I felt lost. I promise you assisted her in simulating demise. Quietness. You remained beside me those 9 days, I continued deliberately. Prepared beverages. Managed my calls. Witnessed my unraveling. I regarded my brother. This man I trusted unconditionally for 44 years. All while she hid nearby. Daniel stared downward. That sufficed as confirmation. I rose. Grasped my cell phone. Moved to the rear window overlooking the yard, Daniel's planting area, the apple tree from childhood climbs, the barrier I'd assisted constructing the summer following our dad's passing. Trusted elements. Elements I'd accepted like natural law. Laura spoke initially. Tom, please grasp I lacked alternatives. Prosecution loomed. My profession, our home, our life, it all would have enough. I stayed facing outward. You're gearing up to justify staging your exit as sensible. Understand that no justification holds. Quietness. The policy payout, I mentioned. Another pause. Distinct weight. Denser. Laura and I had secured mutual life coverage for years prior. Conventional. $800,000 apiece. I'd barely considered it afterward. Merely practical paperwork filed and shelved. I pivoted gradually. You intended me to receive $800,000. The statement landed flatly. That formed the scheme. I claimed the benefit. You vanish with the concealed portion. And Daniel, I shifted gaze to my brother. What portion went to you? Tom, it never what? Portion. Daniel. He shut his lids. She planned transfers once relocated. To assist clearing the mortgage. His tone shrank. I realized the impression. It resembles benefit deception, I replied. Layer to top the rest. I regarded Laura once more. This unfamiliar person bearing my wife's features. Then I lifted my phone and dialed the contact I ought to have used immediately upon entry. Detective Morrison picked up swiftly. Send officers to my brother's location, I stated. I've located my wife. Laura bolted. Not instantly. A suspended instant followed my declaration where motion ceased, breath paused. The trio locked in Daniel's kitchen like an unwanted snapshot. Then instinct surged in her gaze, raw preservation overriding all, and she darted for the rear exit swiftly. Daniel intercepted. Unexpected. He sidestepped, sealed the path, placed both palms on her shoulders, gripped steadily. Laura resisted, genuinely fought, writhing fiercely, yet Daniel maintained hold with the look of someone finally choosing correctly after 9 days too late. No more, he uttered softly. No more, Laura. She ceased resistance. Sagged marginally, as though internal support failed. Detective Morrison reached us in 11 minutes accompanied by 2 cruisers. I observed from Daniel's front room window as they approached the walk. Measured, expert, the exact demeanor of officers accustomed to every shade of human desperation and beyond surprise. Morrison, around mid-50s. Keen gaze. He'd overseen Laura's incident inquiry. Contacted me directly thrice during the probe with progress reports, sympathies, the cautious phrasing reserved for delivering final truths. He entered and studied Laura at length. Been searching, Mr. Grant. His delivery stayed even. I owe you regret. We concluded the crash review 4 days past. I know, I answered. The automobile off the bridge. Tampered, I added. Activated remotely. She'll disclose all. I glanced at Laura. Correct? She occupied Daniel's kitchen table presently, jacket nearby on the seat, mug untouched on the counter, appearing diminished beyond anything in our 14-year union. She inclined her head once and commenced detailing. The service proceeded absent us. 50 attendees at Riverside Burial Grounds at 11 a.m. honoring a lady simultaneously seated in a Denver station confessing fully. Laura's mother phoned me 4 times amid the booking. I directed each to message. Not malice, but certain discussions demand more than a precinct lot. Some require seating and extended duration. Laura admitted all. The company theft. The fabricated crash. She'd engaged an expert via unknown channels. Individual who'd modified the Honda's controls remotely, synchronized the bridge collision for minimal scrutiny. The benefit scheme. She provided complete disclosure. Every contact, every transaction, every fact, with the weary precision of someone relieved to unload an unbearable burden. Daniel entered a guilty plea for aiding offenses. Earned 18 months supervised release, service hours, the lasting alteration of our bond, one still navigate years onward. Contact remained sparse. Perhaps eventually. Laura drew 6 years imprisonment. The company reclaimed $280,000 of the $340,000 via seizures. Her expert, the modifier, got 11 years, trading 3 more cases for leniency. Evidently, simulated demise formed a more routine trade than anyone sensible prefers knowing. I returned to the burial site that same evening post-arrest. Positioned beside the still disassembling setup, stacked seating, floral displays, a leaflet bearing Laura's image discovered near the gate. I lingered considerably, not mourning precisely. Mourning something, yet not the original loss intended. Mourning the individual I'd cherished. The version possibly genuine once, preceding finances, preceding dread, preceding schemes overtaking all. That version merited the tribute. The figure I'd encountered on Daniel's stairs. She'd entombed herself well before that message arrived.